One of the things that you've heard us talk a lot about over the last few years is the ability for you, our residents, to communicate with us here at the Village via our mobile app. Well, like any good technology, it only has a shelf life of a few years, and we have now debuted a new and improved version of our mobile app, and it's called Addison Connected. I'm here with Michealeena Trakas, our business systems analyst at the Village, who has been working very, very hard over the last few months to get this up and running. Michealeena, thank you for taking time to be with us to explain this to us. You know, in short, why did we decide to try something new?
Absolutely. So basically we had the ability to report any issues using the old application. We could report issues like a pothole or a street light out, but there was really no way for the Village to communicate back with the resident. So this application is really going to encourage that two-way communication from you to us, the Village.
That's a great point. I'm sure there are a lot of people who simply had a question, opened it up, and kind of went, well, this doesn't really help me. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about some of the new features that are available through Addison Connected. Why don't you kind of take us through some of these menus here?
Absolutely. So what we can do is we can look at a couple of different things, some menu items that we have right here on the home screen. You can use this here to basically go through the different menus, so you can kind of navigate using that circular spot there. So one of the things that we have is government. In government, it's going to give you information on contact information for our trustees. It's going to give you information about our advisory commissions here at the Village, general information about government, and then it also gives you a fast track to the website, to our Village code, and to our census data.
This mirrors the Village website, as you said, quite a bit. Why is that an important component? Now, our old app, I mean, when it opened up, it was just basically report a problem. Why has this become something that's important to us? You kind of mentioned the two-way communication, basically, but why was it important to mirror the website?
So what we did, we've actually got quite a few websites at the Village of Addison. We have our main Village of Addison website, which you do a phenomenal job with, you know, getting all of the things out to the residents with news and calendars. But we also have a few other websites and social media. We have a Facebook, we have a Twitter, we have things such as special events, we have a police department website, a dispatch website. And so this is going to bring all of those things all together into one cohesive unit. So you can get to all of the different things that you want to see right here from the palm of your hand. So one of the things that you'll see as well that's in addition to Addison Connected is Addison Police. So this gives you a fast track to the Addison Police website with all of the different information about all the divisions within the police department. It also gives you the ability to look at the different services that are provided by the Village departments. So you can see, for example, what are the things that community development handles within the Village of Addison. It'll give you contact information for our department heads and all the different things that you might want to do with our community development department.
One of the things you mentioned I thought was interesting, you said it right in the palm of your hand. When we were redesigning the website, that was something that we had become cognizant of. It's more unusual now for someone to sit down at their computer and look for information. They want it right away when they're walking down the street or when they're at lunch, and it's always on the phone. And an app is a great way to just kind of bring everything together, isn't it?
Definitely, absolutely. That was something that we discussed kind of in some leadership meetings and trying to figure out how we are going to kind of move forward with the innovation strategy for the Village of Addison. Was that, you know, the primary vehicle of information gathering is from a mobile phone, whether you have an Apple or an Android. You know, your kind of day-to-day is mobile. So
exactly.
We really wanted to speak to that with this application.
So what about information that we're trying to get out like in a timely instance? Via the website, I will post something to news bulletins. Is that something that's available through the app as well?
It is, it is. It actually takes whatever data is in the website from the news and the calendar, so all the calendar with the public meetings, kind of the notice of what's going on here at the Village. It's going to take that directly from the website and put it out to the users.
Is real-time information. If I click on the news bulletin section, this is the most recent information that we've pushed out.
That is correct. That is correct. And you can also look at the calendar for some of that information as well. That is all current, up-to-date, real-time information.
So our most recent announcement was that the Village has debuted its new mobile app. So as soon as we push it out, it pushes it out to the app as well?
That is correct. That is correct. And we also have a link to social media as well. So a lot of the things, the goings on, the in and outs of what's happening in Addison are pushed out through social media. And so those things are also available via the application by clicking on social media on the homepage. And that is going to give you a fast track to the Village Facebook, to the Village Twitter, and to the Village YouTube.
Okay.
There's also some other links to Police Department and Dispatch Center as well.
That's great. Now, one of the things I noticed was the Explore Addison section. That obviously is new in this app. That sounds like something that would be really important to someone who's perhaps new to the community.
Absolutely, absolutely. So inside Explore Addison, we've got a few things, that if you're thinking about where do I want to go to lunch today, or where do I want to stop at for dinner, we've got some restaurants, we've got lodging, we've got parks, as well as government. So we have a few different ways that you can kind of get in touch with Addison and find out more information about Addison by looking at these different avenues of information.
When someone is especially new to the community, it can be very confusing as to, well, what does fall under the village or the township, or do they have a parks department or a park district? This is a great way that they can literally find everything, their contact information, their websites. That's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see their directions even to get to the place that you're trying to go. So all of this is in one consolidated spot.
That's great. Now, as we've mentioned, the one thing that the old app did that this one will do as well is report an issue. That is the best avenue, really, for residents to communicate with us. And before we kind of lead somebody through it, if you've used the old app, a lot of this will look very familiar to you. But let's talk a little bit about why that is the best way, as opposed to, I'll just send them an email when I think of it kind of thing. Why is this the best way for them to, when they see something like you mentioned, a pothole or a street light that's out, why is that the best way?
So what it'll allow you to do is put in that issue and it goes directly to the department that can help you. So a lot of the times, the email is looked at by one person. It's seeing what comes in and then it's distributed to the different departments. So when you actually use this application, it will go directly to the department that can help you give you the services that you need.
Part of the reason that Michealeena has been heading this project as business systems analyst, and this is kind of a little behind the scenes, but I think it's interesting to people. Over the last few years, we, meaning the village, have updated quite a bit of our software packages. And every department seems to have their own thing. Public Works has software that tracks their work orders, for instance. Community development does something that keeps track of their permitting process. But part of your job is to make sure that all of these things are talking with one another, including this app. So when I report an issue through Addison Connected, this is automatically generating a work order on their end,
That
right?
is correct. That is correct. So there's no thought about who do I need to call, where do I need to go. It will directly route to the police department, to the community development department, or to the public works department, and then it'll go to the person that really, really needs to see it.
So let's kind of report a hypothetical problem so people can see that they don't have to put a lot of thought into this. All they have to do is give us the information, and the app is doing the work for them. So let's do a hypothetical report here.
Sure, absolutely. So what we can do is we can go to report an issue. This report an issue is going to allow us to have access to all those different issues we had back with the old app. We've added a few more to give you a little bit more functionality. So the first thing that it's going to prompt you to do is create a user profile. That user profile is going to ask for your first name and your last name, as well as your email and your phone number. There is a privacy policy that you'll agree to in this process that you'll kind of take a look at if you're concerned about things like your location or things like that. This information is not shared with the public. It's not even seen by the village unless you report an issue.
Okay.
So it is very private, it is very secure. However, it's going to allow us to give you the best service that you can possibly get. So it'll prompt you to create that, and you'll save it. For now, we're just going to X out of it.
Okay.
And for example, you might have seen things if you use the old application. You'll see things such as parkway trees or potholes or sewer issues, things like that. This is a great way to communicate non-emergency issues to the Village of Addison.
And yeah, let's repeat that, because I'm sure a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people get confused as to when they should use something like this. If it's something that's life-threatening, I've seen someone who's been hit by a car, I've seen an accident, there's a building on fire. App is not the best way to let us know.
That is correct. You always call a 911 anytime you have an emergency issue such as that, something life-threatening or something that you need immediate assistance with.
Right. Okay, so go ahead.
So, for example, one of the things that we allowed that's brand new with this application is you can request branch pickup. So say in the case that you had a terrible storm, something happened, there was lots of wind, lots of craziness, there's branches all over your front yard. You can use this in a non-emergency situation to request branch pickup in that situation. So your phone will ping and it'll create a location based on where you're at. Wherever your phone is at the time that you report the issue, you can pop that in there. You can also, up here in the top, you can type in the actual address. So you'll be able to really give us an accurate account of where this issue is occurring. You can also move the pin to the location. So say, for example, I'm over here on Natoma. I can put my pin right there and it'll auto-generate the address for you.
That's for all those times where your phone does something funky, because we've all seen that, where our dot is moving and we're standing still, so you can actually tell it exactly where you've seen this thing. Or, for example, I saw it this morning on my way to work. Now I'm taking the time to do it, because obviously you shouldn't be using this mobile app while you're driving your car. So that's a great way to adjust it to exactly where you mean.
Absolutely. Even if you're in Elmhurst, you can still report an issue that you saw in Addison as long as you use that address.
Okay, so go ahead.
So we have a good address in there and we click next. We're able to put in any notes. So anything that you might have, you're able to put in any notes here, anything you want to communicate with the village. You can add any text here, thoughts that you might have. You can also choose a picture or take a picture. And so choosing that picture will kind of go through your gallery, and you can take a picture of something that you've already had in your phone, or right at that very moment you can use the take picture functionality and get that picture to send directly to the Village of Addison.
And that's something that we emphasized even in the old version of the app, was that letting the person who's going to be working on solving this problem the best information that they've got. Branch pickup, that's pretty obvious, but sometimes graffiti or whatever it is, that way they know exactly what it is they're looking for when they arrive on the spot to handle that issue.
Absolutely. So once we've already got this all in here, when you have everything that you want to say to the village, any questions that you have, you can put in this notes section. We can submit that issue.
Now, because we didn't create the user profile, it's asking for us again, but let's talk about that a little bit, why we want that information. It's not so we can sell your data to someone else, but you can receive updates from the village, right? To find out if the issue is being handled.
That is absolutely correct. So based on that user profile, you can receive things in your My Reports area, which we'll show you in just a second.
Okay.
But based on that user profile, anything that you've reported to the village, you will be able to go back and check on the status of. You can also sign up for notifications from the application using your mobile phone number to get an instant update of whatever is going on. You can always see what the status of your report is at any time.
And as we mentioned, this is communicating with the software that the departments are already using to track what they need to do so that they can prioritize what needs to be done. But it's kind of an automatic system. They know that they've sent someone out. We know this issue is now closed, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It goes right to the department that needs it.
Okay. So once this has been sent to the village, then how would I find out, let's go back to the home screen, how would I find out what's happening with the issue that I've sent into the village?
Absolutely. So what you can do is go up to this menu right up here, and you'll see this My Reports. This My Reports has a list of anything you've ever submitted to the village. It kind of goes through your whole history of anything you've sent. So if we click on the My Reports, we currently don't have any issues right now since we were testing, but you'll see anything that you had here in My Reports. And you'll see notes from the village, you'll see a status update such as it was assigned or it was referred, etc. You can see all that here from My Reports.
And I'm assuming this is also a great way if they meaning the staff person who's supposed to handle this issue, if they have further questions about it, they have a way to communicate with the resident. They don't necessarily know who the person is, but I mean, via the app, they'll be able to send, you know, I'm having a hard time finding it. Can you give me more information, kind of thing?
Yes, yeah, you can talk back to the resident, you can talk back to the person reporting the issue, and you can ask any questions that you'd like. You can communicate using this application, or also we have the user profile information to be able to call or email for another way to get in touch with somebody.
Great. Now, one of the things that when we were in this menu that I noticed, you already kind of mentioned the privacy policy that's available. There's a lot more information in this area. For instance, you mentioned social media, and we kind of showed that. I want to emphasize again, Facebook, probably not the best way to report something, just like sending a generic email. Let's talk about that again. Why the app is a much better way of communicating exactly where a problem is.
Facebook is a really great way to push out information, but it's not really a great way to get in information. So somebody is not always monitoring 24 hours a day.
Exactly.
It's only really during business hours that we're going to see what's going on Facebook. So it's not an immediate connection to the village. It's kind of more eventual.
And it's a communication to someone who isn't out in the field. For instance, the village's Facebook, it's usually me. Well, I don't know anything about whether the pothole is being worked on right now, and I'm happy to go contact someone, but it's so much easier to communicate directly with the person who's in charge of that.
Absolutely. It's so quick, it's so fast and efficient to be able to pop in your issue, and it goes directly to the Public Works Department, which saves somebody from having to be on the phone, trying to figure out, you know, okay, where does this go? What does it do? Who do I need to talk to? It's going to give it directly to the person that they need to give them the service.
What about some of these other areas that we see on the menu? You want to touch on any of these?
Sure. There are job opportunities, some things that we have with our HR department. There's I want to, so say for example, I want to apply for a permit. I want to apply for a building permit. And that'll give you information all about the permitting process here at the Village of Addison. So there's just quite a few things in this menu. The menu will give you more functionality than you see on the home screen, but it's going to have a bunch of different things such as agendas and minutes. You can create or request a Freedom of Information request and ask for information from your local government. And there's even a direct link to ACTV. So if you would like to watch a little bit more, you can pull up your Addison Connected application and watch ACTV directly from the palm of your hand.
Well, let's get to the most important information then, of course. How does somebody get this app on their phone?
So what you would do is you need to go to either the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store and just pop in Village of Addison. You can search for Village of Addison. The name of the application is Addison Connected. And so you'll want to make sure not to download the old app. That is being decommissioned on February 7th. So you will no longer be able to use that. After February 7th, no reports will be taken using the old application.
And there may be a period of time where both of them are kind of still appearing in the store. We want to make sure that you're downloading the correct one, Addison Connected. Does this cost anything?
It does not. This is free of charge, and it's easily accessible at both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store.
That's great. And as we mentioned when we rolled out the first version of the app, get this on your phone as soon as you can. Hopefully you don't need it to report an issue anytime in the near future, but it's good to have so that you're not trying to do it when it comes time. Plus, this new app is just a wealth of information. You can kind of play around with it and learn all kinds of new things. Michealeena, thank you so much for your hard work on this and for being with us. If you have any questions, make sure that you let us know. If you have any problems with it, report it through it, but make sure you download Addison Connected, available right now in Google Play and the App Store. I'm Dory Croggy. Thanks for being with us.